Conventional homebuyers can't seem to catch a break these days. Inflation is driving up costs, the housing appreciation is increasing significantly here in Denver, and interest rates are not exactly working in their favor. So with all this in mind, is it still worth house hacking in Denver in 2024? The short answer is it all depends on three things: lifestyle needs, the strategy you want to use, and the funds you have. And make sure you stay until the end because I have some important news with Colorado legislation and ADUs and the maximum occupancy restrictions being lifted. So make sure you stay around to the end. Here's the long answer. I'll be combining the lifestyle needs and the strategy wants in this longer answer right now. I don't know what your particular situation is like until we hop on a call, but in general, your lifestyle does need to be considered. For those with a spouse, a kid, dog, and whoever it might be that might not want that stranger interaction, it's going to be a little bit tougher to house hack, but it is still possible. Consider having an ADU with the fenced-in portion of your backyard to be theirs. That way you can have your spouse, your kids, the dog have their own backyard living situation, and the ADU guests can have their own, and you can collect rent from them in the meantime. It's a win-win-win situation. And for those with just a significant other, no kids, maybe not a dog, maybe you're more willing to have a shared roof over your head, but maybe not necessarily the shared common areas with the guest. So if you're more comfortable with that, maybe you can rent out the basement while you live on the main floor. Kids, I don't think they're going to be too considerate if you were to have guests in the basement, especially with stomping around and playing around and things like that. So with those with just a spouse, they have a slight advantage in terms of having more options open for house hacking. Of course, getting an ADU is still an option for those that just have a spouse or a significant other. And lastly, the more profitable situation would be the rent by the room strategy. And this strategy is so powerful because now you're not just looking for extra room in the backyard or a basement that has a separate entrance. You're literally limited to how many bedrooms you can fit all in one roof, all in one property. For this particular strategy, it appeals a little bit more towards the college graduates and people that are comfortable living with other people. Especially if you've lived with roommates beforehand, you might as well keep up that lifestyle into this future house hack. So renting out each room in Denver will get you on average about $850 per room per month. So if you were to have a 5-bedroom place and you rent out the other 4 bedrooms, you're looking at what? $3,500? I think if my math is correct, 850 times 4. I think that's about right, or $3,400 per month. And so to wrap things up, at least with this first section, if you want to get more profitable, you have to get less comfortable. The more comfortable you want to be, the more you have to make things work, or at least pay a little bit more in order to get a granny flat or an ADU to make things work on your property. So is house hacking still worth it in 2024? And this next section will definitely sway my answer into a heck yes. So here it is. The state of Colorado is going through some major housing changes in the future, and you just got to keep up with this stuff in order to be an informed investor, especially when it pertains to the strategy that you want to use. Luckily, you don't have to do the research. You can just rely on the knowledge base that I have and the experience that I have and the research that I'm doing myself instead of you doing it yourself. I know you're a busy person, so just rely on a professional to do it. So in order for you to keep up with this stuff, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the like button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos that I'm putting out, just so that you keep informed about the Denver greater metro Denver area. I messed up there, but you get what I'm saying. So now on to the legislation. I'm going to hit you with the bad news first here. So the state of Colorado is actually going through with a proposition to increase the property taxes on Airbnbs that have been operating as a short-term rental for 90 days or more the previous year. So what is that percentage increase? There's not an exact number, but depending on the property and maybe where it's located, it could be a 400% increase on property taxes. And usually with property taxes for the common single family residence, you're looking at about $2,500 per year, maybe $3,000 per year, which means that if it is a 400% increase, you're looking at what? $1,200 per year or $12,000 per year, which is a pretty significant increase. So right now it's not a good look for short-term rental owners, and there's still a lot of pushback that's happening literally right now in mid-February when I'm recording this. Go look up CLARA, C-L-A-R-A. I forgot exactly what the abbreviation stands for, but they're pushing out these movements to go out to the Capitol Hill, Capitol building to push against this proposition. And I made a video on this not too long ago, and if you want any more details on it, it's a good video in my opinion, detailing all the information that they discussed and how you can keep informed in the future. So if you're looking to invest in an Airbnb property, in my opinion, I'd say push the brakes a little bit and wait for all of this to pan out, or just fight the good fights and, just hope for the best and keep writing to your Congress people to make sure that this doesn't pass. Because I know I am, because I have clients that have short-term rentals and I have a short-term rental myself, and I want to keep it that way and not have to pay a hefty property tax bill. And so now for the good news. We have two housing bills going through legislation right now. One of them related to the increase in occupancy for unrelated strangers and another related to ADUs. So the first bill I'm going to introduce to you is HB 24-1007, which is related to how many unrelated people can stay under one roof. So as of literally right now, before this bill even gets passed, depending on where you're at within the greater Metro Denver area, you can only have like 3, 4, maybe 5 people that are unrelated to you living under one roof. And it's just, it's very restricting, especially for house hackers that want to get the most bang for their buck. Let's say they buy a 7-bedroom place and want to rent out the other 6 bedrooms. That just won't be possible. And if this bill gets passed, it actually restricts the local government from enacting or enforcing any sort of occupancy laws related to unrelated people under one roof. So if you are that rent by the room house hacker, this is a really good sign, especially if you want max profits for as much as possible. And now the second bill, HB 1152, is planning on increasing the amount of ADUs within the single-family zoned lots within the greater Denver area. So this is going to allow ADUs to be built on any single-family zoned lots, depending if there's enough room in the backyard and all that good stuff, but there is one exception. This bill excludes rural resort communities, but those that are already in those communities actually found it pretty beneficial to have ADUs so that they can supply housing for the workforce, because there's always some building or some sort of development happening in the mountains, and those rural resort communities have already found it advantageous to have ADUs anyways. And it's interesting coming from San Diego, like myself as a San Diegan, seeing these bills being passed when the housing crisis is not just in San Diego or in really high demand coastal areas, it's now here in Denver. And I'm really proud that the legislation is looking into that and trying to figure this out as fast as possible, especially with ADUs in mind. One big difference between San Diego and Denver is that in San Diego, people are converting their garages and just restricting the amount of backyard space just to build more units, and it is very profitable. But looking at Denver, and with the lower price point and with the demand still really high, the lot sizes are huge. I mean, some of these houses are looking at 0.17 to 0.25 acre lots. So you're still gonna have a backyard even if you were to build an ADU on the lot. So that's really exciting times for house hackers out there, especially in 2024. I'm really excited for it, and especially since the Fed, Jerome Powell, is promising so many interest rate cuts for the year of 2024 with the presidential elections coming up. Usually things get a little bit more affordable, I assume, like gas, right? And with the interest rate cuts as well, things might get a little bit more affordable, not just on gas, but with housing. So hold tight, enjoy the ride, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss any of the action when news comes up, I will hear about it and I will tell you guys everything about the Denver area and making sure that you're making the right investment for the years to come. So thank you so much. All my information is in the description below. If you don't want to text, email me. If you don't want to email me, call me. Whatever it is, all my information is down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.